infanthealth.org.
Imagine a world without heart disease and stroke, where every person has the chance to live a full and healthy life. Join us for a walk to save lives at the American Heart Association's Greater Los Angeles Heart and Stroke Walk, Saturday, September 20th at the Rose Bowl. Every step made and every dollar raised means more people learning CPR, more life-saving research, and more time with the ones we love. Sign up at heartwalkla.org. The LA Heart and Stroke Walk is sponsored by Optum, UCLA Health, Keck Medicine of USC, and Dignity Health. Thinking about going electric? Now is the perfect time. Electric vehicles cost less to run, don't need gas, and need fewer repairs than gas-powered cars. You can also save with federal and state tax credits, and in some areas, qualify for rebates on home charging stations. To learn more, visit www.breathesocal.org. That's www.breathesocal.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The following is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways with the purpose of soliciting sales of vacation ownership. For complete details, please visit fvgradio.com. If you want a 100% complimentary stay at a luxury resort in Cancun, airfare not included, then Family Vacation Getaways is your ticket to paradise. See website for complete details. We're giving away 5 days and 4 nights to the first 50 callers who can name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. An animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. Do you know it? Call now, 800-868-6431, 800-868-6431. You're also eligible for an exciting bonus vacation to Orlando, Florida for just $498. And don't worry about anything ruining your plans. We can extend your travel up to 18 months. Name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird, and get a complimentary Cancun resort stay and an optional bonus vacation to Orlando for just $498. What are you waiting for? Call 800-868-6431, 800-868-6431, and give us your answer. The proceeding is not a contest and is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways and not sponsored by this program or its affiliates.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. This is Thought Provoking Thursdays. This is my first time ever interviewing Dr. Karam, who is currently a member of the United Nations Secretary General's High-Level Advisory Board on Effective Multilateralism. And prior to joining Religions for Peace, she served for nearly 2 decades in the United Nations, including as coordinator of the Arab Human Development Reports, a senior advisor on culture, and lead facilitator trainer for the UN Strategic Learning Exchanges on Religion, Development, and Diplomacy. Now, I have this program on Tuesday called Tenacious Tuesdays, but Dr. Karam, who is speaking truth to power on Thursdays, is about to create Tenacious Thursdays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Dr. Azra Karam, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you again for having me, Jesse.
I'm so glad. Listen, let's cover a little bit more of the world. There is no truth coming out of the conflict at this hour between the Israelis and the Palestinians. Share with us your thoughts on where we should be in this human rights debacle and the starvation of Palestinians in the Gaza.
We should never accept it, allow it, and be silent about it. I think the challenge here is that the Israeli government or the Israeli regime feels empowered to do what it deems necessary from their vantage point of takeover and starvation, of genocide and the elimination of an entire group of people. They feel empowered because of two things. One, they have, it seems, the full backing of the United States administration, which members seem to be tripping over each other to provide justification for this genocide. And you also, the other reason, though, is that you have the rest of the world wondering, twiddling its thumbs and wondering what it can do beyond speaking out. Yet we have mechanisms. We have the United Nations system. The best thing that's coming out of the United Nations system today is a few countries coming together to say, this is stop the ceasefire now. You have to stop it now. Who's listening? And coming up with statements when people are starving. And by the way, not just in Gaza, in Sudan, in DRC, there is mass starvation going on in many parts of the world. And the leaders of our nations are using the multilateral platforms to say, stop it. Now, that's a bit crazy, don't you think? That's
Mm,
all we can do is at
mm,
best speak out and say stop it. There are mechanisms even within the United Nations in order to try to put in a peacekeeping force in that space. There's something called Chapter 7. There's something called responsibility to protect, things which member states, which governments have agreed to do. Why are we all so strangled by a UN Security Council in which the United States imposes its veto power to block anything, and the General Assembly is running around in circles, but deciding to celebrate 80 years in next month? But we're saying statements, we're making statements. People are dying, and the best we can do as a community, as a global community, is talk. And some of us aren't even going there. Some of us aren't even speaking. Some of us deciding that things just have to be sorted out somewhere else, away from them. Religious leaders are being silent. Religious leaders are not coming together to try to pull the ears of their respective officials and say, do something now. Use the rules in place. There's such a thing as international law. Use it to intervene, not just to speak. They're not saying anything either. All our
mm.
interfaith organizations are mumbling and trying to figure out what to do. And the best they can do is the best what the politicians can do, which is say, stop it, y'all. You need to stop it. That ain't good
Dr. Karam, thank you for that. I am particularly moved in this moment because many of you may or may not know that Dr. Karam is also the wife of P.L. De Silva. Dr. De Silva is one of the regular contributors on our program. And Dr. De Silva, your husband was so wonderful when he first came on our program and said, I have to come out of academia to actually speak to the people because we need platforms right now where we can tell the truth and speak this truth to power. And I really want to travel, as I've done with your husband, around the world. We only have a few minutes, and I always ask our guests to end on a word of hope. Is there any resolution that you think that is satisfactory to the crisis in the Ukraine between Russia, Putin, and Donald Trump's obviously throwing his hands up in the air and embracing Vladimir Putin?
Yes, the resolution is not going to come through Donald Trump. We're all waiting for the US administration, for Donald Trump to take a position on this, take a position on that, to do something about this, to do something about that. And the man has made it perfectly clear. He's going to allow whoever it is who's running with genocide to continue running with genocide because it is apparently in the benefit of some. And at the same time, he's going to tax everybody else so that he can get some money into this country, ostensibly. We're waiting for one nation to save the world when we actually have legitimate instruments called United Nations mechanisms, called international law that is meant to save the world. Can we depend less on President Donald Trump and the Republican Party of the United States of America and depend more on the instruments of international law and order? Can we do that? Can we mobilize that? Can we look to them and insist that all the world leaders are held accountable by virtue of being members of this United Nations system? But we've all decided to throw the United Nations out the window. It's useless. It doesn't work. Well, great. That lands us with none other than Donald Trump.
Mm-mm-mm. Um, Dr. Crum, I'd like to set the framework for our next hour with Dr. Johnny Mack, who graciously provides extraordinary insight for us on Dr. King's idea of the World House. By definition, in my opinion, multilateralism. But Dr. King also warned us about the triple evils of racism, militarism, and poverty. Of course, we'll be discussing this more in the next hour. But in your final thoughts, offer us a word of hope. In your opinion, is the world house that Dr. King envisioned still possible?
It is not only still possible, it is absolutely necessary. We see things, we've been approaching things in segments, Jesse. This is now about race. This is now about sex. This is now about the environment. This is now about politics. I'm sorry, Jesse, but the truth of the matter is something that a very renowned scholar, African-American scholar called Kimberly Crenshaw, said very clearly. There is intersectionality in everything we face. Everything is connected. Heck, our H2O water that we need to survive is connected to our earth, is connected to what we're doing to this earth, which means also the genocide is taking place. Everything is connected, Jesse. We need to work intersectionally, internationally, multilaterally, multi-religiously, but we're doing silos. We're stuck in silos. If we want to honor his vision, we have to understand it is a call for all of us to work together for the justice of all, not for some, not for a few, but for all. And it is so interdependent. So I'm sorry, even the white supremacists in this country who think that they're going to do well just by looking at their own supremacy, they also need to understand, and they do, and they will see that they can't live it here alone on a planet that's burning.
You know, Dr. King said that the house was burning down. All of the imagery that Dr. Karam has laid on us is evidence that she knows exactly what we're looking at. And I talk about that interconnectivity all the time when I think about the American democratic process, that we bring all of these things with us, even though we have one vote. That knowledge, that understanding, that sensitivity, that historical narrative, the historical narrative of various groups that have experienced oppression in our system and in our world, but we have one vote. And I think we see the one vote as something we cast for a personality, Dr. Crum. I'm not so sure that we see it as the tool of interconnectivity where everything comes into the present in that moment, and you have the opportunity to vote for justice or to vote for injustice, to vote for housing or to vote for homelessness. You have that power in your one vote, but you must have an understanding, as Dr. Cream said, of interconnectedness and and the mutuality. We have about 30 seconds, Dr. Crum. A final thought.
Reciprocity is what all faith traditions, all of them, from the indigenous all the way to the latest, reciprocity towards the service of one another is what all faith traditions call for. It is time to remember what our faith traditions call for and stand and hold accountable. Ourselves stand accountable and hold accountable in how we vote, in how we speak, and in what we do. Reciprocity and faith is what we need.
Dr. Aza Karam, thank you for being on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580.
Thank you for having me.
You're always welcome back. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. When we come forward, we will be in the World House on Thought-Provoking Thursdays with Johnny Mack.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Reverend Al Sharpton, Martin Luther King Jr.'s son, and thousands marched on Wall Street today, pushing back against the Trump administration's rollback of diversity, equity, and inclusion policies.
No justice! What do we want?
Sharpton says the protest is a reminder of the power of Black Americans and their dollars, while the administration calls DEI initiatives discriminatory. Black Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser says Trump's federal crime crackdown has reduced carjackings and made neighborhoods feel safer, but she remains concerned about residents living in fear with federal law enforcement patrolling the streets. And the Washington Nationals are hosting HBCU Day Friday at Nationals Park, featuring the Morgan State Marching Band, recognition of Howard's MEAC champion softball team, and a post-game show with Ja Rule and Ashanti. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
At the U.S. Open Wednesday night, Jelena Ostapenko of Latvia learned a very valuable lesson. Do not mess with a sister from Chicago. Taylor Townsend, a 29-year-old African-American, was pretty much an unknown tennis player before beating Ostapenko in straight sets 7-5 and 6-1. When the players shook hands, Ostapenko told Townsend she had no class and no education. Ostapenko claimed Townsend was disrespectful for not apologizing for a point when Townsend's shot bounced off the net. Ostapenko said Townsend violated a rule in tennis by not apologizing. There is no such rule in tennis, even from an etiquette standpoint, where a player has to apologize for scoring a point. Townsend stayed in Ostapenko's face during the heated handshake and let her know she's a strong black woman. Townsend moves on to the third round Friday to play Myra Andreeva of Russia. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader. KBLA Talk 1580. Follow the leader. If you're not following KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Got your blood.
Follow the leader.
Oh my God.
Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. In our second hour on Provoking Thursdays, we have the World House with Dr. Johnny Mack. Johnny Mack is the principal managing partner of the Johnny Mack Group, LLC, and founding director of the World House Project, Incorporated. Weld traveled throughout Americas, Africa, Asia, Europe, and the Middle East, explicating Dr. King's call to restructure the social edifice and its triple evils of poverty, racism, and militarism with a revolution of values that are effected through peaceable power, building communities without borders. Johnny, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Good to be here, Jesse. How are you?
Great. Johnny, in the last hour, Dr. Aza Karam was our very special guest. She represents an agency and a collaboration with the United Nations on issues of religion, issues of peace, and more specifically, multilateralism. Multilateralism as opposed to over and against unilateralism. It seems to me that Dr. King's metalogic on the question of building a world house against the triple evils of racism, poverty, and militarism had to be a multilateral point of view. Johnny Mack.
Well, of course. So if we all are living in one house, a single house where we all have to figure out how to get along together, we have to be multilateral. We have to be inclusive. We have to recognize our interconnectivity. And that was quite thematic and axiomatic in Dr. King's framework of nonviolence in the World House.
I have received most recently this wonderful article that you wrote, A Metalogic of Nonviolence by Martin Luther King Jr.'s Logic of Nonviolence in the 20th Century by Johnny Mack. And I must be candid with you. I am planning on reading it this weekend. It is a very thoughtful and profound treatment and essay. Johnny, you feel compelled and felt compelled to extend Dr. King's logic beyond where the circumstances of life and history ended his life to an even broader point of view. Can you share that point of view with us, Johnny?
I think I got your question, but Jesse, could you repeat it? There was an interruption, and I didn't get
In short, you built upon Martin Luther King Jr.'s work to a meta logic that includes building the World House, which Dr. King himself might have given and did give some consideration to, but by definition, the circumstances of life and history ended his life prematurely. And so carrying that work forward in the real contexts that we find ourselves in nearly 4 decades, 5 decades, almost 5.5 decades after his death, that work has largely fallen upon us to build and reshape the social edifice and the world that we find ourselves in.
Yeah.
Quite an enormous task.
Indeed, Jesse. In fact, if I may, it's not so much that the work has now fallen on us since Dr. King's assassination. It is that the work was always ours.
I say and I identify with always ours, but brought to our attention in a very forceful way by Dr. King, because I don't think, Johnny, that people start out multilateral. I don't think they start out as global. I think they start out as narrow. I think they start out as provincial. I think they start out as tribal. And then here comes Jesus of Nazareth, right? Here comes Gandhi. Here comes Dr. King. And here comes some of the most thoughtful leaders that have ever lived, asking us to look at the planet, asking us to look at ourselves in the cosmos against the backdrop of other things other than self, other than narrow perspectives. And I certainly heard that from Dr. Aza Karam in the last hour. She was really, really clear that we really have that choice that Dr. King, but it's either going to be nonviolence or non-existence. We're either going to love our neighbors as ourselves, or foolishly, we're going to watch the entire planet itself perish.
Yeah, indeed. Yes, the task has always been a collective task. And yes, you're right, Jesse, that it often takes a voice, and sometimes voices, sometimes a single voice, to remind us that we're all in this together. The responsibility is all of ours. And I think that was Dr. Karim's message in the last hour for certain. And I think one of the reasons we've been so atomistic, I hate to use those terms, we've been so individualistic, is the very narrative that we adopt, the very narratives where we're raised in, the very narratives that we are socialized with, to think individualistically, to think that the whole paradigm of our existence is about getting all I can, and you have to get all you can, and shame on you if you don't. Not realizing that in order for you to realize your fullest potential and your greatest dreams, I should realize my fullest potential and my greatest dreams. And if we can work on this together, we're much more likely to do that than we are to seek to realize such dreams individualistically and in conflict and competition with each other.
In this moment, Johnny, I can see exactly why Dr. King was challenging the economic system. From the moment we enter elementary school, we are told that we are unique. From the moment that we enter high school, that we are unique, or college or any other form of higher education, that we need to get a job, that we need to get a home, that we need to get things. And at no point in time are we accultured, if you will, to the idea that we have a responsibility to our neighbor and not just ourselves as part of our basic human orientation. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. When we come forward, we're going to dig ever deeper into the World House's foundation with Dr. Johnny Mack.
After nearly 20 years in Congress, he knows how to get at the issues that matter the most to you. Every day, he takes a deep dive into politics, social justice, and the stories that shape our community. This is where prominent people unpack perplexing problems. Unfiltered, unapologetic, unmissable. You're inside the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580.
See website for details. Bills Happen is not a lender and does not make credit decisions. Hey, bills happen. So when you need extra cash fast, go to billshappen.com. Have you been turned down? Are your credit cards maxed out? Do you have bad credit? Go to billshappen.com. All you need is a job and a checking account. You can find a lender and get up to $5,000 cash as early as tomorrow at billshappen.com. Billshappen.com is the smart way to get a personal lender now. So if you need extra money for car repairs, medical bills, family emergencies, whatever you need cash for, go to billshappen.com and you can get the money you need as soon as the next day, up to $5,000. At billshappen.com, our process is safe, secure, and all online. No one to deal with in person. And Bills Happen does not charge you any fees to use our service. It's easy. When you need a lender, just remember, when bills happen, go to billshappen.com. billshappen.com for the cash you need now. billshappen.com.
Are you ready to be a part of the conversation that will help shape our nation's future? Get ready to join us for the Left Coast Forum, Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech, where progressive voices will come together to tackle the issues that matter most to working families across Los Angeles and beyond. From economic justice to climate action, from healthcare to housing, we're bringing together the brightest minds and most passionate advocates for real solutions and real change. With workshops, 2 major keynote addresses, and a closing reception with great music and good food. It's the Left Coast Forum, where your voice matters and your ideas take action. Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech. Brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the LA Progressive. The future won't wait, and neither should you. Mark your calendar now to be there and be heard. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. And in this hour, our very special guest is none other than Dr. Johnny Mack. Dr. Johnny Mack is the president and founder of the World House Project, Inc. Johnny, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Happy to be here. Thank you, Jesse.
Johnny, on page 4 of A Metalogic of Nonviolence, Martin Luther King Jr.'s Logic of Nonviolence in the 21st Century, you write, history and values give context to the social systems and institutions that sustain the human condition and support social organization. In the latter, King understood violence and nonviolence as diametric value logics, as opposed to mere alternative types of social action. In the former, he saw history would be their record, which would inform about past and instruct present decisions humans make about living in the world house, where he asserted all humanity must learn to live together as one family or, quote, perish as fools, end quote. This point is integral to understanding his nonviolent logic. It is essential to answering the question, where do we go from here? Furthering that question invokes others. How did we get here? And where is here? For King, Here is at one place, time, and condition where we humans meet our existential selves, find meaning in life, and realize our potential or not. Here is where King takes on Hobbes and Thucydides in his understanding of human nature and its corollary social relations. His paradigm is all for all. And then he quotes, the universe is so structured that things did not quite work out rightly if men are not diligent in their concern for others. The self cannot be self without other selves. I cannot reach fulfillment without thou. Social psychologists tell us that we cannot truly be persons unless we interact with other persons. All life is interrelated. All men are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Dr. Johnny Mack. What would Dr. King say about this hour in light of that vision?
Well, I think, first of all, he would be appalled. It seems so obvious, almost too obvious to even state how appalled he would be at what little progress we've made and how we have moved backwards, and how drastically that backward move has been, Jesse. Yes, the passage you read begins with the decisions we've made as humanity. It's important to understand from King's perspective and this whole metalogic framework that we have the world we have because of the decisions that we've made. Those decisions weren't made for us. They weren't handed down from some mighty hand from above, nor were they handed up from some mighty hand from below. Jesse, we humans have no one to blame but ourselves for our condition, for our place, our time, and our condition. We are where we are today because of the decisions we made yesterday. And at this time, if we continue to make those same decisions, that is, if we don't learn from our history, again, the historical record that we refer to in the passage, then as the wise sage said, we're doomed to repeat it. And certainly, Jesse Jackson Jr., isn't that exactly what's going on? We're actually, whoever we are, whoever is making those decisions, is repeating the very history that so many of our fathers and forefathers fought for and against.
I'm sorry, John. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. Please go ahead.
No, I think that that on the one hand, it seems so simple. On another hand, the logic itself is extremely philosophical at the level that certainly the academics might understand it and be able to debate it. But when I think about the logic, for example, that we've missed, Donald Trump uses what we have been given as a real blessing by Martin Luther King Jr. and today is justifying the absence of that logic by occupying DC, occupying major municipalities where we have black mayors under a kind of non-logic that crime is going up, or we have not learned the basic lesson from Martin Luther King Jr. that we should learn how to live together.
Well, Jesse, it's interesting the way you put the point and imply the question. Complicated, yes, perhaps so. But as you rightly state, that logic is being used by the current administration and those who are advising the administration. So the logic isn't so complicated that that others are effectively using, as you say, the very logic that King espoused and admonished us to study and apply toward nonviolence. The problem here, Jesse, is that the logic is being used violently. And we don't realize it. We assume that what is what has always been, and that we are powerless to do anything about it. But quite to the contrary, as we've said before on this show, the people have ultimate power. We simply don't realize it. And we have no mechanisms of using it. And we don't take the time, as King admonished us to, we don't step back and say, what do we, as those who have the monopoly on nonviolence, do to organize that monopoly in ways that serves our best interest? And so, on the contrary, those who would use that very same logic against us are succeeding.
You raised the question, after confrontation, then what? What is our appropriate response under the logic to what we are existentially feeling? And by that I mean yesterday's newspapers reported that in 2.5 weeks, there have been more than 1,000 arrests in the District of Columbia. That's 1,000 potential new felons, if they are successful in whatever criminality they might suggest of Black people. Don't forget, largely Washington, D.C. is still made up of us, which appears to be where, by the way, the National Guard and the police are doing most of their patrolling. 2.5 weeks from now, we'll be looking at 2,000 people. A month and a half from now, we'll be looking at 3,000 people. And he's now seeking a larger, more permanent presence in the District of Columbia, which could be 5,000, 6,000 men and women who catch a case. I can only imagine, using the same logic or even the same data, that when the president brings troops to Chicago, given the scale and size of this city compared to the District of Columbia, we are talking tens of thousands of people who could be apprehended, arrested, and charged under this regime. These are men and women who may be permanently felonized for the rest of their lives during this period. I do know something about that. Help me understand, after confrontation, then what in this environment?
So Jesse,
we're going to confront, by the way. We are going to have a confrontation, by the way.
So Jesse, just think about it. We've accepted and have actually come to believe that nonviolence is solely about direct action confrontation. And certainly direct action confrontation is important. But is it all important? Is it the only thing important? Is it the only means, the only tool, nonviolent means and tools that we have in order to confront the foes against us? Are there other means of nonviolent social action that can help us overcome and fight, as someone has said recently, many have said recently, fire with fire, so to speak? Are we truly doing that? You know, think about it. After 9/11, a couple of acts were passed, including the Patriot Act, the Homeland Security Act, I think is the other. Jesse Jackson, imagine if those acts had been in place 60 years ago, during the March on Washington, during the many campaigns in communities, particularly in the South, during the apex, the height of the modern civil rights movement. What then would the result of that movement look like? Is it that these acts have anticipated that our means of confrontation can be arrested through certain laws or accommodated by those laws to make them less effective? think about what we've actually realized through nonviolent direct action since the mid-20th century, not only here in the United States, but globally. So the question, after confrontation, then what, simply says, after we've protested, after we've gotten in the way, after we've not cooperated, after we have had strategic interventions, and we still don't realize our desired goals, our desired ends, we still operate under oppression and disenfranchisement and so many other ills that limit our life chances. What do we do then? That's the question. Are there no other remedies? The methodology of nonviolence suggests there are.
I'm not so sure there are other remedies, Johnny, under the Christian ethos. And I'm going to put a wall on it. There may be other remedies under different ethoses, but under the Christian ethos, I've always seen the experiment of Gandhi and the experiment of Martin Luther King Jr. as a way to effectuate and effectively live my Christian witness consistent with a synopsis or a synthesis, of you will, into a single narrative of the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. To that extent, I don't need the Bible before Jesus of Nazareth. I need that account of Jesus of Nazareth. So I turn my attention to the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. I try to, in my mind, synthesize a single narrative to better frame from 4 different angles the character of this Christ-like avatar or this Christ-like figure. I don't need the books after the life of Jesus because that's Paul and others who share their witness. And I think that King is trying to identify with the narrative in the personage of an avatar for himself, not waiting for anybody to come from the heaven, not waiting from a hand above or a hand below, but that hand working with God and through God as his hand, God's hand in human history to bring about bending the arc of justice or bending the arc. At least that's how I see it. Now, I know we're going to get deeper into this after the break. But again, I do see Dr. King as an avatar in that experiment. And I suggest to you that it is an incomplete experiment and that we have an obligation under much of the work that you have attempted to accomplish here in advancing the continuing of that experiment, because even the architect of our faith itself did not live to complete the full design of that belief system. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. When we come forward, it is KBLA 1580. This is Thought Provoking Thursdays, the World House with Johnny Mack. When we come forward on KBLA.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook, who is black, is suing after President Trump moved to fire her, sparking a legal battle likely headed to the Supreme Court. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt defended the firing.
He has the cause that he needs to fire this individual. He laid it out in the letter that he provided to her and to the public as well.
The move follows a DOJ probe into alleged false mortgage statements. Suge Knight says rapper Drake got played after claiming he bought Tupac's death row pendant. Speaking from prison, Knight insisted he was the only one handing out chains in the 90s and personally gave Tupac his diamond-covered pendant, which had no inscription on the back. And Black Maryland Governor Wes Moore says he is heartbroken over the deadly school shooting in Minneapolis. He offered support to Minnesota's governor and stressed that all children deserve to feel safe at home, in school, and in their communities. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man.
At the U.S. Open Wednesday night, Jelena Ostapenko of Latvia learned a very valuable lesson. Do not mess with a sister from Chicago. Taylor Townsend, a 29-year-old African-American, was pretty much an unknown tennis player before beating Ostapenko in straight sets 7-5 and 6-1. When the players shook hands, Ostapenko told Townsend she had no class and no education. Ostapenko claimed Townsend was disrespectful for not apologizing for a point when Townsend's shot bounced off the net. Ostapenko said Townsend violated a rule in tennis by not apologizing. There is no such rule in tennis, even from an etiquette standpoint, where a player has to apologize for scoring a point. Townsend stayed in Ostapenko's face during the heated handshake and let her know she's a strong black woman. Townsend moves on to the third round Friday to play Myra Andreeva of Russia. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader. KBLA Talk 1580. Follow the leader.
If you're not following KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Got your beer. Follow the leader. Following the leader. Oh my God. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hello, I'm Joe Cordell, founder of Cordell & Cordell. Divorce is complicated, especially when your small business or professional practice is involved. At Cordell & Cordell, we understand that these assets raise unique valuation and allocation issues. For 35 years, we've helped doctors, lawyers, and small business owners navigate divorce with confidence. Call us at Cordell & Cordell. Let me tell you, I understand on a personal level, your business is much more than a job. It's your legacy.
1455 Frazee, San Diego. CordellCordell.com.
Hey, listen to this. All I needed was a new starter. Got a great deal on eBay. Did it myself.
Yeah, that's cool. But how about the soft purr of an upgraded exhaust when it fits just right?
For me, it's the little things. Like these new windshield wipers from eBay I installed. From small fixes to big upgrades, eBay has all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Thanks for starting your morning off with a voice that speaks truth to power and the powerless, getting to the heart of what matters most in our community. This is where authentic conversation meets real action. From breaking news and politics to culture and community solutions, this is where you hear perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. This is where we come together, get informed, and make change happen. You're inside First Things First with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Good morning, sunshine. You make my day.
Yeah, yo, come on. Pick up the drum.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we fight the power every day.
Yeah, gotta give us what we want. Gotta give us what we need. Hey.
I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, you know, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it! Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power! Fight the power!
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
Empower. Our weekly host, the World House, is Dr. Johnny Mack, Principal and Managing Partner of the Johnny Mack Group, LLC, and Founding Director of the World House Project, Incorporated. Dr. Mack is well traveled throughout the Americas, Africa, Asia, Europe, and the Middle East, explicating Dr. King's call to restructure the social edifice and its triple evils of poverty, racism, and militarism with a revolution of values that are effected through peaceable power, building communities without boundaries. Dr. Mack, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Good to be here. Thank you.
I want to go back to this point about the avatar, because one of the challenging dynamics of my conversation with Dr. Mack is this. I can have lots of social justice activists on my show and have conversations with them. But at the end of the conversation, it does not necessarily mean that I have to reflect upon a transformation of myself, of literally myself. Johnny Mack calls us not just to fight the power, but also to transform ourselves in the process. And that's hard work. I want to go back to this avatar for a moment, because many of us, including myself, were brought closer to the idea of the avatar when the great movie came out just a few short years ago. You would think, based upon the way the movie was advertised, that the avatar were the Na'vi, these little blue-green people, well, not little, but very tall blue-green people that were living on a different planet, completely connected with the environment, the social culture, their connection to a divine power through the trees and through their tails. The avatar were a beautiful people in an amazing film extravaganza and spectacular. But the avatars are not the Na'vi. The avatars are the humans that found a technology to survive on the planet of the avatar. And then they grew these kind of green or blue biological beings. And through technology, they were able to interact with the Na'vi, Sigourney Weaver and others. They were the avatar. And so I struggle with what Johnny is sharing with us, because we are being asked to be the highest and best of ourselves in our struggle for social justice, at the same time as advocating the rightness of our cause. We're being asked to put on the suit of Paul, put on the suit of Jesus, put on the suit of Gandhi, put on the suit of Martin Luther King Jr. and walk their walk through life and its spaces, not as the person you were born in the world to be, but as the transformed person who becomes a transforming agent in the process of restructuring the very social edifice. I think Michael Jackson probably said it like this: if you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make that change. Johnny Mack.
Well, I think that does sum it up, Jesse, doesn't it? It really is up to each of us, and we can't stop there. It really is up to each of us and every one of us. And so we're not expected, we should not expect ourselves to carry, like Atlas, the weight of the world on our shoulders. But we can take our little corner. We can add our little drop into the great stream of life, which becomes that great river that Vincent Harding wrote about. The great civil rights leader himself, who worked with Dr. Martin Luther King. By the way, There Is a River, written by Vincent Harding. But we each have a drop to add to that river, that river that transforms the very structures that King said must be transformed. And so we each have to change the metaphor a bit, put our foot in that river, we have to do our part. And while we might have champions like King or Mandela or Gandhi and others who show us the way, like Jesus or Muhammad, or whichever avatar you follow, ultimately they can point the way, but we must walk in the way. It's up to us, each of us, and Jesse, every one of us.
Yeah, I don't. That's hard work,
That's
Johnny.
hard
I can
work.
wake up in the morning, read the newspaper, and issue a press release, or give a speech and talk about the injustice that I see based upon what I believe to be right. And I would be mighty busy in this era if I issued a press release every day or every minute that I heard something I didn't like. But there's also an inward journey that includes my spirit, maintaining my sanity in not reacting to everything, because I don't think I can be my best self for my children. I don't think I can be my best self for my neighbor, thinking about all of the external distractions and overthinking the external distractions and losing my sense of self in the process.
Yeah, but Jesse, is the issue here really about being our best selves, or is it also about creating our best opportunities? Now think about this. One of the reasons King admonishes us to restructure the social edifice is because he understands the impact that the edifice has on us individually and collectively. You know, we have automobiles, not simply because we can create them, but there was a need, and that need was transportation. And so we can travel much further with an automobile than we could or can walking. And so our lives, transportation wise, changed because we applied ourselves individually and collectively to create a tool, a mechanism of travel. And so is the case with our social edifice and nonviolent social change, or this metalogic that we're talking about. What are the tools? What are the automobiles? What are the mechanisms of social change that we can collectively work on that create the opportunities to transform our social edifice? That's what's missing. It's not so much that I every day have to do something specifically in order for my contribution to this desired change to be effective. But what we collectively have to do is support those systems, whether they are legal systems, whether they are educational systems, whether they are systems of the media or systems of communication, systems of law. What are we doing collectively as social action to change those systems which mediate our action and interaction with the system and the system with each and every one of us? That also answers the question, after confrontation, then what? It is creating those systems. It is putting them in place. It's creating the social infrastructures, Jesse, that help us to help ourselves create the society that we want.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Our very special guest on Thought Provoking Thursdays is none other than Dr. Johnny Mack. Here we focus on the World House and what we can do to help reshape the social edifice that is the triple evils of poverty, racism, and materialism, not only in our world, but within ourselves. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make that change. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. When we come forward, more with Dr. Johnny Mack.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
JP Morgan Chase offers tips for the local business owners in 2025. Small business landscape is ever-changing, and the Los Angeles market is no exception. A startup or legacy business, revisiting your mission statement and recalibrating offerings can renew opportunities for growth and innovations. Programs like Chase for Business Coaching for Impact gives entrepreneurs access to expert guidance, helping you streamline operations, strategize your growth, and navigate complex challenges. Businesses with a clear sense of purpose can navigate any challenge effectively, but also build stronger customer loyalty. Visit chase.com/coaching for impact for more information. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase.
Agnes was in deep trouble with the IRS.
I owed the IRS a lot of money. I did not know what I was going to do. I was scared.
Agnes caught a break and found out about Optima Tax Relief.
But when I called Optima Tax, they guaranteed me that they were going to help me out the best that they can. And they did.
Optima stopped the IRS.
No more telephone calls, no more letters. Optima Tax took care of everything. I can finally sleep at night. I was stress-free.
Agnes was finally free from her IRS nightmare.
It was like a burden was lifted off of me, and it was a great feeling.
Are you in deep trouble with the IRS? You might want to listen to Agnes.
I would refer Optima Tax Relief to anyone because they got me debt-free from owing the IRS any more money.
Call Optima right now for your free consultation. Call 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
By Plan View Contracts and Exclusions at EnduranceWarranty.com.
This is an announcement to all United States vehicle owners who own a 2003 or newer vehicle with a manufacturer's warranty about to expire, or no warranty coverage at all. With a struggling economy and the cost of living on the rise, Endurance is now offering an affordable, low-cost vehicle coverage plan to the general public. As of today, you could be one of millions of drivers that now may qualify to have your vehicle protected under this coverage and have all future covered auto repairs paid directly to the repair shop for you. You pick your plan. You pick your deductible. You even pick the repair shop. Roadside service, towing, and rental coverage is included. Get your vehicle protected now and save your wallet from costly vehicle repairs. A toll-free number has been established for you to call for your free 5-minute quote and to see if you qualify. The number to call is 800-290-6207. 800-290-6207. Again, that's 800-290-6207.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Imagine a Los Angeles where everyone can thrive, where communities have access to the resources they need to succeed. That's the vision of Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. They're dedicated to improving life in LA County by providing educational support, employment assistance, and spaces for community engagement. By 2050, they want LA to be the best place to connect, create, learn, live, and play. They're working toward an education system that's well-resourced and culturally responsive, becoming a hub for artists and innovators, and making sure everyone has access to healthy food, quality healthcare, and safe housing. It's about building a future where we all have the chance to succeed. We invite you to learn more about their mission and get involved with Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. In this final segment of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580, Our very special guest is none other than our World House contributor, the Honorable Dr. Johnny Mack. Johnny, welcome forward to the show.
Great to be here, Jesse. Thank you.
Johnny is the founder of the World House Project, LLC. Johnny, on page 22, further in calling for a revolution of values, King was mindful that the idea is not new. Dunkelman observes the American Revolution occurred in large part because, quote, the institutions that the colonies had inherited weren't effective when applied to the new American context. America's patriots wanted to craft a government that was responsive to a very different sort of society. Their revolutionary idea included a revolution of values. In a similar manner, African Americans found the institutional architecture that the new colonial citizens erected unresponsive, to say the least, to their needs. Similar in the sense that their government was unresponsive to the needs of Black citizens, and different in that the same government excluded their full participation as citizens. Johnny, I keep hearing so many brothers and sisters out here on the streets talking about, they throw their fist in the air and they say the revolution is not going to be televised. It's going to be not going to be on the TV. Yeah. And then I read your outstanding work and I say to myself, because it starts within.
Yeah. Again, the passage you read there, Jesse, is really instructive. If I may repeat high points of it,
please.
The colonists, as we call them, found that the institutions of England didn't serve them well, that the government that was imposed upon them was divisive and repressive. And so they found that the very values that was being imposed upon the new social structure, the new edifice that they had created in the quote unquote newfound world simply didn't apply. And Jesse Jackson Jr., they decided to have a revolution. And Jesse, the revolution began with a value system, the very thing that King calls for. And so African Americans or Africans are brought to the country and they find, again, the same problem that the white colonists found when they came to America. That is, someone was imposing upon them a social edifice that didn't serve their needs, that was repressive and exclusionary. And so African Americans then, if we want to use that term, had to have another revolution of values. And what happened in the mid-20th century, African Americans created their own social institutions and structures. We found them in so many ways that we've mentioned before, whether it was educational or through the media, our own magazines, Jet and Ebony and Essence, and so many more, own radio stations, etc. We created our own institutions, which we have since, for the most part, given up, lost, given away, or sold. And so we still find ourselves in many cases under the same predicament of a system not serving our needs and helping us to realize our full potential. So a revolution of values is nothing new. What is new is us and our work toward realizing the kind of social order we want and creating the very systems that are necessary to realize it.
Johnny, I'm struggling here, and I know that we don't have much time, and I guess we can pick up on it when I finish my homework assignment of reading this extraordinary paper, which I will definitely have done by next Thursday. It just seems to me that also Dr. King shared a new patriotism and a belief in America that traditionally, up until the time of his assassination, simply did not exist. Of course, he was disappointed in the Vietnam War and the militaristic aspects of this question of how we position ourselves in the world house. He had obviously championed a battle against racism. That's two of the evils. And this third evil, this evil of poverty, which William Barber and Dr. Teresa Hord Owens and others of our guests have put a particular focus on, not just the poverty associated with one's financial condition, but the poverty of spirit. For Dr. King also says, if a man can't eat or have a loaf of bread or a sandwich, that it's hard to get them to philosophize and have a sense of spiritual awareness if their stomachs are empty. I raise this concern with you back to this comprehensive nature of what the meta logic of King's nonviolence, by breaking it down into three pillars: racism, militarism, and poverty. That Dr. King is also looking at the challenges within each of us to overcome our own sense of racism, our own sense of fighting violence and our response to violence, and addressing this fundamental issue of having a more egalitarian society and a more egalitarian spirit of sharing with our neighbor.
So Jesse, let's keep in mind, and we won't finish this, our hour is almost up, and I hope we do come back to it next week, that those triple evils are really triple values. Those evils are values themselves. Poverty is a value of cupidity or greed. And racism is the value of bigotry, of othering people, making them the other. And then rival or militarism is a value of rivalry and violent rivalry, of violent competition. And so if you create a social order and think about them as values, it gives a whole new perspective of what King is talking about.
Johnny, we have about 2 minutes before the show ends. Your word of hope for the week.
Well, the word of hope is there are alternative values, and understanding what those alternative values are is really what can help us realize King's vision of a world house and what he called the beloved community. A community is not so much where we are, and a community is not so much what we are, but community is both those and more. A community is what we do, how we interact with each other, and how we interact with ourselves, how we respect ourselves in dignity and worth. And so if we can grasp this alternative set of values, we can realize King's dream. The question is, what are those values, and how do we realize them in the social edifice?
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You've been listening to The World House with Dr. Johnny Mack. Dr. Johnny Mack is on our program every Thursday, one of our most valuable contributors and one of the most valuable aspects and popular aspects of our entire long week show. When we come forward tomorrow, we will be on Fat Meat Fridays with Gina Towns and our very special guest, who remains a secret at this hour, but I'm grateful. Gina, our producer, is the creator of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. When we come forward, it will be tomorrow on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Thank you, KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook, who is black, is suing after President Trump moved to fire her, sparking a legal battle likely headed to the Supreme Court. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt defended the firing.
He has the cause that he needs to fire this individual. He laid it out in the letter that he provided to her and to the public as well.
The move follows a DOJ probe into alleged false mortgage statements. Suge Knight says rapper Drake got played after claiming he bought Tupac's death row pendant. Speaking from prison, Knight insisted he was the only one handing out chains in the 90s and personally gave Tupac his diamond-covered pendant, which had no inscription on the back. And Black Maryland Governor Wes Moore says he is heartbroken over the deadly school shooting in Minneapolis. He offered support to Minnesota's governor and stressed that all children deserve to feel safe at home, in school, and in their communities. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects.
Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The World Tennis Association, the governing body for professional and amateur tennis, does not like bad behavior from its players. Daniil Medvedev of Russia was fined $42,500 for his behavior at the U.S. Open during his first-round loss Sunday night. It's debatable whether Jelena Ostapenko should get a similar fine for her conduct Wednesday night towards Taylor Townsend, but Ostapenko deserves some type of significant punishment for telling Townsend, an African-American from Chicago, that she has no class and no education. The comments from Ostapenko, a native of Latvia, were disrespectful, not in the spirit of sportsmanship, and racially insensitive. Townsend dismissed the racial overtones of the confrontation, but the WTA and U.S. Open should not dismiss Ostapenko's behavior. If they do, that says an awful lot about the culture in tennis. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, y'all, come on. Here come the drums.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we fight the power every day.
Yeah, gotta give us what we want. Gotta give us what we need. Hey.
I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, you know, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it. Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power. Fight the power. Fight the power.
You're listening to the DL Hughley Show. We're back to the fun.
Let's hurry up and get this show on the road. I've got to get to my Bible study.
Best way to spend your afternoon.
That's so dumb.
It's the DL Hughley Show. And we're back.
My name is DL.
What did you set this on, hell? You gotta make her say my name one time here.
My name is DL. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for DL Hughley.
It is the DL Hughley Show, your 2025 edition. We got a great show lined up for you. Of course, happy birthday to Honey Boo Boo.
Oh, right.
That white girl talked so bad she had to have subtitles. And she's like she literally had subtitles.
No, I know. Yeah. Controversy. Yeah, it's a lot going on. Still.
Honey Boo Boo, yeah, come on. She was destined for some black.
Yes. Come on, man.
She was destined for a black dude who likes chubby white bras.
That's it. That's the bruh.
Happy birthday to Jack Black. Happy birthday to Kavajane Wallace, the youngest actress to be nominated for an Oscar for Best Actress. Happy birthday to David Soul from Starsky and Hutch. Remember Huggy Bear? Starsky.
What you hassling me for, Starsky?
And Jive Chucky Sucker Fool. Happy birthday to him. Happy birthday to Daniel Stern from Home Alone. Happy birthday to Kyle Massey from That's So Raven. Happy birthday to Luis Guzman from Boogie Nights and Carlito's Way. Sometimes it bees that way, Poppy. It bees that way, Poppy. You don't remember that, Jasmine?
No, I do not.
Have you ever seen it? Man, you're just...